we're sitting here in this beautiful place, the Picture House, and I'm with this beautiful specimen of an artist, the one and only Mr. Brian Fanning, aka Fantana. Welcome to the Quads for the 1000th time.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. This is legacy. This is a part of you as an indie artist. So for the audience that has no idea who you are, what your amazing contribution has been thus far, tell us a little bit about who is Fantana.
Well, started making music here in the Quad Cities as Fantana. In my life as Brian Fanning.
Sure.
My music history goes to my early childhood. Okay. My parents were into music ensembles, and my dad is a drummer himself, so he taught me a lot about music. Right. And once I came to the Quad Cities, kind of developed my hip hop style and a little bit more of a sound for myself.
Now, how does that even happen? How does a person come to a place such as this and find footing in underground hip hop?
Well, hip hop was always something that I, respected as an outsider. It was always one of my favorite genres of music growing up. Mm-hmm. And when I got to the Quad Cities, I went to Augustana for school. That's what initially brought me to the Quad Cities, was going to school at Augustana. While I was at Augustana, met a few individuals that I ended up starting Eastside Sounds recording studio with in East Moline. And, the hip hop community just really embraced me and embraced my, knowledge and talents that I brought to the table. And it just kind of grew and evolved from there. And it just kind of became a love of mine. And, the more I got involved with different artists and different scenes and venues within the Quad Cities, it just kind of grew into what it is today. Yeah. And then now, a lot of the, vinyl and artists that I work with the label, a lot of them are from the Quad Cities. So it's just something that has been evolving, and I don't see it ever stopping. Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the literal earlier influences. I know you acknowledge, your parents quite literally surrounded you with sound, but, if you could name a couple of people that really touched your heart and touched your musical soul, what would some of those artists be?
Not so much artists, but like early instructors that I had.
Okay.
My high school band director was somebody that really, influenced me to, not only pursue, the type of music that we were doing in school, but just following my creative spirit in general.
Would you say encouraging you to stay well-rounded and very open to whatever music brought you, so to speak?
100%. 100%. He was someone who just appreciated art in its entirety. And I think those type of inspirations from him, and just the influence and how I saw him appreciating art, and other people that were instructors of mine. I was part of a group called Winter Guard International. It's an organization where it's basically like drum lines that compete against each other. So as part of that, I had a few instructors that were very influential to instilling a good work ethic in me and driving me, to push for success and to always go, that one step further than you think you can.
A concept that Devin and I toy around with ever since he's been bringing me more into the indie space, and that understanding is authenticity in motion. Yep. Authenticity for me just means it's meaningful to this person. It's real to them. It's a part of their spirit. So when you acknowledge early teachers, I relate completely. Yeah. This skill set, this ability, this was completely fostered by outside energy of English teachers and literature professors.
For sure.
Who didn't scold me for being the chatty kid, but told me to hone those skills into something beneficial.
Totally.
So young Brian, influenced by parents, influenced by, legacy style teachers and instructors. What, if any, particular moment in your young mind can you remember that really showed you that this was a space you were meant to be in? I know people don't
That's a
usually
good
ask you that
question,
until
yeah.
you're like 30 years in the game.
That's a good question. I would say, again, just the warm embrace that I was met with when I first started doing things here in the Quad Cities. It really showed me that people that have no idea who I am, because again, I come from the Chicago suburbs, came out here, I knew no one. So, entering this space where, the Quad Cities is in need of people who are passionate about things and willing to push through the, what's the
I would
word
say
I'm
this.
looking
I
for?
would say the status quo, or
Status quo.
or even break that low ass ceiling,
Right.
that suggests we don't have the same potential to grow and be this like
Right.
everybody else. Yeah.
So I think like it was kind of a symbiotic
Yep.
relationship where like I saw acceptance from a group of people that I was wanting acceptance from, and they saw somebody who was unwilling to give up
Yep.
and work on their behalf. And we've kind of just fed into each other.
It
It's
kept
like
going.
a snowball effect. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I get more motivated by them, they get more motivated by me, and so
Who
on.
who are some of your favorite people to work with? I would say past or present.
You mean like in the Quad Cities or just in general?
I
In
mean,
the
you
Quad
can general,
Cities,
but Quad
I mean,
Cities.
my man, Big Man G on the camera, he's definitely, longtime collaborator of
Yeah.
mine. Franco East is a
Love
longtime
Franco.
collaborator of mine. Xavier Roussan, a lot of these people you see in these albums. Bryson Buddha is a longtime collaborator
Yeah.
of mine, done a lot of things through Fantana Records. But I mean, the list goes on and on. I can't,
I get it.
I could sit here and name 200 names to be
Right.
honest, but these people, they just they inspire me every day. I see them working hard every day to try to get better, and again, it's just that symbiotic relationship.
That spirit of hard work and dedication is so normal in the indie field. When someone says indie artist, I usually, in my mind's eye, kind of picture this person that is a little off the beaten path, a little non-traditional in their approach. But as indie has evolved, you tell me, what does indie look like today? What does that entail, and what is the expectations in that world?
To me, it's purely a business term.
Okay.
I have no preconceived notions on what the art is going to be like.
Okay.
To me, it says what your business is like. Because to me, the gap is closing between the industry and the independent.
Right.
Now
I almost feel like the independents are the industry.
You said it, not me.
I mean,
because I think, to me, independent artists are now at the point where they're making better art than label artists.
absolutely.
That's my opinion.
Well, I think it's probably a fact
But
to a degree.
to me, it says more about how you're doing your business.
Yes.
To me, it says more about how much ownership you have in your art.
Right.
To me, it says more about how you are willing to move and how much work ethic you have. Because if you're attaining even a fraction of the success that a label artist is attaining while being independent, you're winning.
You're busting heads, dead ass.
So
No,
it's one of those things where, again, I work order fulfillment for independent artists that probably can make more on a Black Friday sale than some label artist's entire signing bonus. And that's them working day in, day out for years for a label. And it's just a totally evolving game now. And like I said, to me, it's less about the quality of the art, which it used to be more of a differentiator.
It was the complete opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like now it's starting to completely switch,
I've been saying this, and it's not because I'm, needing any credibility of sorts, but I've been saying this since I really stepped back into the scene, that what was old is now back new again, and what's new is pretty much frowned upon because the new stuff isn't benefiting enough people. This idea that you have to have some 808 basic sound, and misogyny and all of these things that we fought so hard to put on the back burner of the hip hop culture, you know, to see those things reemerging was challenging for me as a female, but as a female with my own legacy, you know, I'm excited to see the independent artists emerge and speak to some of the deficit. I'm excited to see the indie artists demanding pay and proper compensation for shows. So I don't even know if it's so much that it came back. I just think that the leadership that exists, we're from the original era. The people like me, the people like you who've put their whole youth into the game, so to speak, we're like, nah, this is not how it's supposed to be. We're gonna make it how it's supposed to be. So that kind of lends to the importance of participating and being engaged in this market as an indie artist. What are some of the things that you have to do or just that you involve yourself in to keep this a thriving industry of sorts?
Well, you know, as an indie artist, there's a lot of different ways you can approach what you want your main moneymaker to be. You know, as an indie artist, you have to play the role of business owner and decide what products am I selling. Right. You see what products that I've chosen. You know, physical media has been a love of mine for my entire life. I have a 30-year music collection, and it's only growing. Okay. And so, you know, when I wanted to make that conscious decision of I am not going to pursue any sort of label or industry involvement, I want to try to grow a business on my own, physical media was, you know, my instant thought of, well, let me start figuring out how to source these materials, how it would, you know, what the process of, you know, manufacturing and distributing these products is, what the process of marketing these products is, how to grow a fan base and buyers.
You were just literally willing to take the time to do the groundwork. That's all it is. Yeah, that's really what it is.
There's no shortcuts. It's
gosh, no.
Figure out what you want to do and start doing it. Learn how to do it better
than everybody else. Yeah, for certain.
That's really the only way, you know.
But. So when I first got a little more introduced to what it is that you do, one of the things that stood out to me that was really cool is the Obi strips. Tell us a little bit about just what is that? You can physically point it out to for our fan base that may not know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So the Obi strip is actually, you know, just this piece of paper that is surrounding the vinyl. It wraps around the complete record. Okay. And, you know, initially what Obi strips were used for was, you know, in the 70s, 80s, you have an era where there is no computer technology. There is no automatic translation apps in your pocket at all times. So you have this English text, but you want to market it to a Japanese market, say. You're going to have to include like the name of the artist, the name of the album, what songs are on which side. Right. So this piece of paper is the only thing that's telling this international market what album it is, especially if it's an album that's just like a picture like this. Right. You don't necessarily know what artist that is or what album that is.
I love the idea that the strip 2 creates this exclusivity. It's like a club of sorts. It's like, hey, you want to know that we're putting in the work. You want to know that we care about our audience and our product and its visibility and its grandeur. Well, this is evidence of it right there. For sure. That one extra little step, you know, to elevate the product and make it more exclusive. Have you found, you know, a sense of joy in seeing this, you know, evolve into a great thing that's almost a mainstay now?
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time on my social medias or whenever I get a chance to, but, you know, just people supporting these albums, supporting these products. I mean, we have people that we've never met from all across the country and even in other countries ordering these before people in the Quad Cities get a chance to even get them.
Isn't that exciting?
It is pretty amazing. I'm extremely grateful. You know, you guys have given me the opportunity to start scaling this operation, and you know, just complete gratitude for it, you know.
I mean, there's nothing like ownership of a product that, someone put their literal blood, sweat, and tears into.
Right.
And that sound is on vinyl is such a crisp, unique sound to begin with.
Yep.
But then, even just the idea of saving it and preserving it in its in its purest form, I think that just lends to how important music is. Music
sure.
is legacy. Music is a building block for a lot of people's lives, right? For me, and my kids always kind of tease me, music is like a soundtrack literally for my day-to-day existence. I don't know how people like survive without it. I'm like, you don't listen to music every day? Right. So when Fantana isn't immersed in the indie world and doing vinyl and traveling and that, what are the things that you lean into to keep yourself encouraged and keep yourself inspired?
Well, I'm an art appreciator in its truest form, really. I mean, any forms of art I like to indulge in. I'm not the best at all of them, obviously.
Sure.
Music is my one that I go to just because, I've been doing it my whole life, and I feel like it's the art form that I excel at.
And it's a safe space, I would imagine,
Definitely
too.
a safe space for me. But I like to just, when I try to push myself, or, I have been experimenting with a lot of different forms of art lately, and a lot of them are horrible. But it's
You're
just
not
fun,
the next Picasso, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, I definitely, no one's buying any of my paintings, I promise that. But I definitely do paint and, things like that. So it's something, art is just my only thing, really. I don't necessarily get into too many other things in life. If I get bored with one form of art, I move on to another.
Right.
I eventually come back.
Yeah, that's the true. That's
the
the true nature, I think, too, of a person or persons who not only respect art, but they feel like it's a part of who they are.
For sure.
I wake up and this is a part of who I am. So this is like the height of the day.
Right.
Sitting with an artist, working, talking, and thriving in a space that supports and advocates for that.
I think that's a great sign. If you every single day wake up and can't stop thinking about something, that is the thing you should be doing, regardless of how difficult it may seem or how far away you may be from that goal that you've set for yourself. If it's something that you wake up every single day and can't stop pursuing or can't stop trying to figure out, that is the thing that you definitely should be pursuing.
So I'm going to keep doing this, guys.
Yeah.
Just get ready for it. No, because honestly, you sometimes, because you're an artist and your brain is constantly moving, you don't know where you're going to land in this beautiful, big, vast landscape.
For sure.
So, running into different people who are passionate, even if it's in a completely different arena, it still is like kind of that thumbs up, like, yep, you're in the right space, you're doing the right thing.
For sure.
For you, I'm sure that also happens when you have experiences with other artists. You have, I'm going to say it wrong, Makami? Close.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, how you met that individual, what that lended to in your creative space, and just give us a little bit of background on that.
So my experiences working, so Nature Sounds is a label based out of Miami.
Okay.
I actually was working for a record store called Lucky Records,
Shout out to Lucky
which
Records.
you guys were discussing in your last episode. I was working at Lucky Records. The owner of Nature Sounds is a good friend of the owner of Lucky Records. So that's kind of how I got introduced to the working at the label. And then for a while I was doing order fulfillment and packaging, filling orders and shipping orders for Nature Sounds and Makami's label, Zatanica.
Okay.
So that's really, I've only met Makami once.
Okay.
He just did a show in Chicago. That was actually my first time meeting him because he doesn't live in Miami. So that's just where the warehouse is.
Okay.
And we ship the orders out of. But, that time working there was extremely insightful. It gave me a really good look into how, the top artists in this field are doing things, and just the level of quality control that they put into their products. I mean, Zatanika's and Nature Sounds, really all of their products for what we do and in our world are really top-notch, highest quality products you can put on the marketplace right now.
Right. Is it a part of indie spirit to kind of I would say show up the idea that mainstream is where you have to be? Maybe that's a layered question.
I think it's quite the opposite, actually.
Okay, thank you.
I think
you tell me.
we don't give a damn what the industry is doing. I'm going to put it to you that way.
Okay.
We are winning on our own.
Yes.
I don't care what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, you're kind of like me in politics.
You know
I don't know about all that.
That's like asking a baseball player if they care about the Bears-Packers game right now. It's like they're worried. They're thinking about baseball.
Right.
They might be like, oh, who won? They might check it out every once in a while. Like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I'm from Chicago, too. Cool.
Right.
The Bears are doing good. But they're not worried about what plays the Bears are working on. They're not worried about what practice is like for the Bears.
Yeah.
They're playing baseball, man. It's two totally different sports, in my opinion. So
yeah, it is.
I don't think if you're truly pursuing the one side, the other side necessarily doesn't even have to concern you. It can if you want it to, but I don't feel like that's even necessary anymore. I'm
more like that just for relatability. I'm like that when it comes to media influence. I think that this idea that you want to have a certain style, or you want to iconicize certain people and the way they do things. Well, what makes me not an icon?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What makes me not worthy of the pursuit? And that's something too that I've talked about with the whole indie movement. I think that sometimes it's important to know that you all are worthy of the same pursuit that people think is automatic when you're quote unquote mainstream.
Right.
I think now the breakdown and the gap closing creates this reality that the indie musician not only sometimes outworks the mainstream, but they are so much more committed to that fan base and what that demand is, and giving more of that greatness out. So, and since you're so close to the pulse, it's easier for you to create that way,
right? Because
you still are accessible and you still touch people and you interact with people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's not necessarily so much that they want to do it more. It's just that they have the ability to do it more. Mm-hmm. Like as an independent artist, you have direct access to your fan base. Yeah. A lot of times you can communicate with them directly. If you're working through a label, you don't necessarily, those are kind of like the label's fans in a sense.
In a sense.
Where like you don't necessarily have that direct access to your fan base. Maybe part of your fan base, but not the entire...
even just like weird things like approval. Like, I don't have to call Franco's label and say, do you mind if Mr. East's album is in this film that we're making? I can literally...
It's a lot easier,
access the talent
100%.
And have a genuine relationship and correspond with them and support them and elevate what they're doing.
Definitely.
So there are some names that float around you in the legacy you're building. So there's A.A. Rashid, and... tell us about some of these figures, not that you got a name drop, but tell us about some of the figures and people that you've been able to grow and build some things with, and what impact that's had on you as a musician.
I mean, down at Art Basel for the last couple years, we've been very lucky to, participate in some events with A.A. Rashid. Mm-hmm. Billy Esco, like you said, was part of this year's, and was, somebody who showed a lot of love and gave a lot of knowledge and inspiration, I think to me, it's more so just aligning ourselves with these brands that are revered in the industry, mm-hmm. It's not really even looking for anything from them or asking anything of them, but just kind of trying to place our brands in these places and in these spaces where these brands that are recognized and revered, exist and operate, and, just trying to show, Devin was talking about it in the last one, trying to show these fans that, we are seen and recognized by this group of, music lovers and appreciators.
Yeah.
And, if they see us and recognize us, you are going to see us and recognize us, and just kind of making that like cognitive connection to people that have never necessarily met us or heard our music. Maybe that will be the thing that gets them to give us a try or give us a listen. So, just being associated with people like that, aside from it just making 5-year-old Brian really happy and excited,
that inner child,
just trying to grow the business as much as possible, really.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit about current project, what's some expectations, that Fantana has for himself and the label. And then hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more about the unique branding effort that you do with a lot of the vinyl products and merchandising. So you're checking out the Talk of the Town Underground Edition. We'll be right back. So, being a Midwest native, being based out of Miami for the label Fantana Records, how do you see the importance as an artist grows of taking their home with them? In our case, taking Watertown with you. What's the importance? How does that? Yeah, I'll leave right there. What's the importance of that?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I think a lot of myself and a lot of the artists on the label, it's our main mission is trying to take our roots with us, especially being from the Quad Cities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of big cities, they already have people who their community and their culture is known for already.
Yes.
Chicago has those people. Atlanta has those people. New York clearly has those people that their art has been exported to the world. I think our main problem in the Quad Cities regarding art is that all we do is import art from other places, and we never export our art to other communities and other places. And I think that's like our main mission with trying to take Watertown with us is be some of the first people who make their main focus exporting Midwest and Quad City art out to the world. So, being a label that is based in Miami, one of my main goals is trying to represent and instill in people that like this is a Midwest based sound. We are primarily from the Quad Cities. We are not necessarily from a big city. We don't have big resources. So when you see us participating in the market the way that we do, it is literally from nothing and from a point of we are trying to be trailblazers from our area.
I'm gonna take it to the step and say I think that we are. I think that lends to my personal belief that leadership emerging out of unique places is what's happening in the indie market as well.
For sure.
Having people who never necessarily expected a leadership role.
Right.
Now you don't know how not to lead.
Right.
Because there's no one actively and aggressively doing it in a way that is making that same impact that you're hoping to make and to see people benefit
Definitely.
from. When we talk about, your album history and just your collective, one of the first vinyls you produced was an instrumental project, correct?
Yes.
What was the title of that? And then kind of tell us about the sophomore project that we have here.
Yes. So my first vinyl title, which was the first title that the label did, it was an instrumental project called And So It Goes. At this time, I didn't have a website set up. I didn't have any sort of...
You were literally like, and so here we go.
I actually did a Google Sheets sign up for people, and I did home delivery around the Quad Cities. I didn't even mail them. I was actually just driving them to people's houses. So some of you who were there at that time remember me driving to your front door and dropping it off. But Yeah, that was really the first, thing that started it all. And
Okay.
Cheaper by the Dozen was the next thing after that. I kind of consider this project the start of kind of the second phase of Fantana Records. This was when I had my website up and running. After this came back to back titles that you see, kind of behind me, and what we saw in the other angle. So, it's just kind of progressed into what it is today. And from these instrumental projects, and from, what these instrumental projects, the credibility that these instrumental projects gave me, kind of started the chain of other people believing in me. They kind of saw what I was doing with my music through these products.
Yep.
And kind of like
they
like I
wanted
was
to
saying.
be more a part of it, and
Right.
and they bought in,
Yep.
so to speak, maybe in some cases quite literally.
Right.
And then to just support wise,
Right.
wanting to be a part of that. You do have a third release coming soon. What can we expect on that project, and give us some inspiration behind that third release?
Yes. So Manja, which is already on streaming services, if you guys want to, get a sneak peek, it'll be my third instrumental vinyl. It's coming out later this summer. It's just more of a continuation of the sounds that, like I said, if you guys are familiar with my sounds, just kind of evolving more of, my same sound that I've, starting to become known for. And then I have a couple other instrumental projects that are also in the works, where I'm starting to try to do some things a little bit differently, which I don't, can't say too much about right now, because I'm still working on
in the
it.
works,
But
yeah.
yeah, but I, before the end of this year, I definitely have some more instrumental music that I'm going to be packaging in a very unique way. So
Merchandising seems to be a space that you enjoy being in. Outside of the vinyl space, what are some rare things you like to either create or collect, just as a fan of the art?
So I am also getting into like myself making like collectible prints, collectible like photographs and things like this. Like I haven't started doing this yet, but I'm currently working on a project to, I take Polaroid pictures myself. Everyone who buys a copy of Fantana Record, a copy of a vinyl from Fantana Records gets a hand-signed Polaroid from me.
Lovely.
So I am working on, doing prints of those Polaroid pictures, and I'm actually working on a book right now where I'm going to be featuring some of my photography, some of Digital Religion's photography.
Sounds like some CGC, return to consumer-generated content. I only say that just because I think it's really cool that we're just having a very no-holds-barred approach on branding and merchandising and solidifying what this really means as individuals who are a part of a collective movement.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I'm sitting here wrecking my brain like, dang, how can I get my hands on this album? And I don't even have a vinyl player, but, just hearing the story and understanding the time and the depth of thought that you put into these things, to me, that in itself makes it worthy of the exclusivity. But then taking that next step and believing and betting on self and being like, no, it is exclusive and it is worthy, and I'm going to continue in this trajectory. I think that's commendable. As an indie musician, for sure.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, you're a very multifaceted individual. If you could narrow it down to like 3 things that are kind of on your immediate radar and output wise, what can we expect from Fantana and Fantana Records going into this new era?
Well, one of the main things, that is a mission of mine, and I think some of our supporters and even the market at large likes to see is scaling a bit.
Okay.
Right now we do very small, limited pressings of these titles, so that not too many people get their hands on each one.
So I can't have that
That's
one.
that's done by design right now.
Okay.
But my biggest goal is to scale and to start offering, like for example, every title that we do is on black vinyl.
Okay.
I want to start offering colored vinyl pressings.
Yeah, that red vinyl is
different
sick.
kinds of nuance to the product designs. I haven't done a gatefold jacket yet, for example. I haven't done a double disc LP. So these are all things that are definitely.
I like stickers.
Yeah, stickers are definitely something.
Stickers are the shit. I don't
we
know.
definitely do a lot of stickers. Like,
Okay.
I don't know if I don't have them on
No
some
worries.
of these, but most of them come with hype stickers. These are the promo copies. So
Right
I don't put stickers on a lot of them, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, just scaling and offering higher quality, trying to up the quality is really my main goal, and with that, I hope to, gain the attention and the respect of the consumers.
The confidence in the indie world is something that I like to absorb from you guys. Mm-hmm. There's this desire to do regardless of the potential outcome.
For sure.
And I think that is so unique and resonates so loud in the indie world that it rubs off on you if you're around it enough.
For sure.
So this idea that, sitting down with you today, what does this interview mean 4 years from now? And that's where my mind goes with it,
Totally, yeah.
And I think that's the same with your branding style and your marketing and developing of your projects. You can't necessarily know where it's going to lead to, but you know what your hopes and expectations are.
100%.
And that's all you can do is put the work in to try to get there.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you don't put the work in, you're going nowhere. That's a guarantee.
That's true.
You could put the work in and not get anywhere. That can happen. But
Right.
if you don't do anything, you're definitely not going nowhere.
I'm a big sports person. You can't miss shots that you never took.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's kind of like this idea that, no, everyone doesn't have the money necessarily to invest, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
When there's a lot of things that don't involve money. Time is probably our most valuable asset that we give away.
100%.
And so making the best use of our time and the best use of our energy is important, but also using that time to build and grow what your beliefs and what your dreams are surrounded by. That's
For sure.
That's a good investment of time too,
Yeah.
For you, just as Brian, when the pressure's off and there's no deadline to meet, what are some, immediate self kind of goals that you have that you could share with us that lend to your independent artistry?
Well, right now, me and my wife, we're trying to save up for our first house.
Okay.
Start a family. Once those things are achieved, I think, my ability to grow and scale the business will be a lot better, coming from a place of better security.
Yep.
So that's definitely, trying to get those things in order. I've personally been on a little bit of a mental health journey lately.
Aren't we all?
Trying
Hopefully.
to, find some more inner peace and get my mental health a little bit better has been a main focus of mine. It's that New Year's time. I'm getting back into the gym, trying to eat a little better,
No New Year, new me. I hate it.
Not to get too cliche, but,
Right.
that's last, 8-9 days. That's what I've been doing for sure. So
Yeah, you got to start someplace.
Yeah.
And I think, giving yourself permission to not really even have a fucking clue, that's okay too. Like sometimes we just don't, I don't know what life's going to bring.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but this is what I'd like to be doing. This is where I see myself,
For sure.
So keeping your mental health in perspective, doing that self-check and having that home/work-life balance
Completely.
is essential. Valuing your spouse and that support that they give you. Those are all important things, but the most important thing too is that self-evaluation.
For
and
sure.
just, deciding that, this is what I want and I'm going to go for it 100%. And I think that every step that you take in the direction of fulfilling your dream is a good step. So
100%.
keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Keep it up. You're going to do good things.
You as well.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
If I didn't have digital religion, pushing me, out of my comfort zone a lot,
Yeah.
I think that's important too, just for sake of conversation. I think it's important to be surrounded by not always like-minded individuals, just motivated. Equally
100%.
inspired.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we need to get away from this idea that we need to be working towards similar goals to help each other get to those goals.
No, and I think there's a lot of people that inspire me that don't even make music. You know, so I think that's
part.
that's a big thing that a lot of people think networking is if you're a rapper meeting other rappers. And I think to me that's like one of the biggest mistakes that people can make while networking is, you know, if you're a good rapper, you need to meet everyone who's not a rapper in the industry.
And literally, though,
the last thing you need to meet is more rappers if you're truly that good at doing whatever you do, you know?
That's like going to open mic night and there's nothing there but performers.
Right.
You kind of need an audience.
100%.
That isn't already there for that purpose, because how are you going to get the feedback? How are you going to get the residuals when these are other people doing the same thing that you're doing?
100%.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's the same thing with, you know, inspiration. I try to find inspiration from people that don't even necessarily do the same art form as me or participate in the same market as me, you know, but yeah.
Well, we talked about Art Basel 2026, no definitive commitments, but if you see yourself there, you know, how are you hoping, or what would you like to see represented for Fantana Records going into 2026 and specifically 2026 in Art Basel?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to continue to grow our network of artists that we work with, continue to try to give people, you know, the best products that we can give.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just trying to expand the amount of, I think our biggest, I'll call it an improvement, but the biggest change between 2024 and 2025's Art Basel experience was in 2024, we really only had a couple of things outside of physical music media.
Right.
And in 2025, we really expanded into different things, art prints, tapestries, like you said, stickers. We made a lot of different stickers this year, and just trying to continue to expand what Fantana Records puts into the art marketplace outside of physical media, I think is my goal for not only Art Basel, but just
kind of
as we grow
forward.
in general. And you know.
Yeah, I think it's achievable. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and definitely give us those handles. And then, of course, make sure they know where they can find your sound, most importantly.
Yes. Fantana on everything, FVNTVNV. So the A's are V's. You know, at Fantana, the label is Fantana_records. Okay. www.fantanarecords.com. You can purchase anything we have. I have full radio episodes that I do. You can stream for free on that website. Am I missing anything?
He's everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
You can find
Spotify,
him.
Apple Music. You know, go down the rabbit hole. I got a lot of. I have days of music to listen to, and you know, lots of products releasing on a consistent basis. So if these are things that you're interested in, I would definitely check the website frequently. But yeah.
Well, I got to thank you for coming and spending some time with me in my backyard. You know, doing the Talk of the Town Underground Edition with someone as yourself makes me feel really proud and inspired. I encourage you to keep up the great work that you're doing, and know that, you know, you got a lot of love coming from the Quad Cities. And we value the bridge that you're building and creating for us to walk over. So we got nothing but love for you, baby. This is DJ Powder. Of course, you can find me as Tiana Powder Washington, because I'm just not that famous yet. And I'm on most of the social media sites. But most importantly, look for this interview on our YouTube, and we'll have the links and all that stuff at the end. I'm Powder. This is
Fantana.
And you are here at the Talk of the Town, man. This is the best place to be. Come back. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.